Welcome to this webcast where we're going to explore leadership style, your personal leadership styles, and how to really bring realness as well as your experience to how you are as a leader and a manager at work. My name is Liz Villani. I've spent the last 20 years helping leaders and managers to really be authentic in their leadership and bring the best of themselves, their realness, into the world of work. So in this session, we're going to explore how the people that you've worked for and been managed by have influenced how you are as a manager and a leader. We'll all take lessons from that. We'll reflect on what we do well and what perhaps we could do better, what other people might say about us as a leader and manager at work. And then finally, we're going to really explore your own unique leadership style. What is it that's real and your experience of being a manager? And how can you bring more of that into your leadership of managing people at work? So, what do you think you do well as a leader, as a manager of people? What do you think your current style is? Someone recently shared with me that actually, if you think about the people that work within your team, if they have children at home, those children probably know you as their manager and leader and your name. They probably know your name. And the question is, what names do they call you? I hope that it's not prickly or difficult like this egg in the middle of this image here. We all have a natural reputation and style as people and as leaders and managers at work. It's worth spending some time really reflecting on what you think you do well in your current style. Maybe you're very approachable and thoughtful. Maybe you really focus on sharing and communication. Maybe you really focus on building confidence within your team and helping them and coaching them when they're challenged with different aspects of their work. Most of us can also do better at times, particularly when the pressure's on and we get a little bit stressed. Perhaps that's what's happening with this egg in the middle and that prickle factor. But when we are in more of a pressurized scenario, what are your tendencies? Where do you think your style can naturally go? How do you react when you're under pressure and stress? And how might this be impacting your team as kind of reporting to you and working with you? And what would they say that you could do better? So just taking some time to really build your self-awareness really helps kick off that reflection on how do I really bring more realness and experience into my natural style of managing others. But who you've worked for in your career can have a really major impact on how you show up as a manager or a leader at work. And I've put some examples on screen. It's worth reflecting on who you've been led and managed by. And that for some of us is before work. So maybe it's a school teacher or a sports coach that we remember, either for positive behaviours or for negative behaviours. Think about, if you take the key people, and I've given an example here with 5 people on screen, think about the people that you've worked for and been led by, and what impression have they left on you? What are the positives? So for example, one of my first jobs as a teenager was working in a restaurant. I was a waitress, and I was a pretty good one. And actually, one evening, what happened was that the commis chef didn't turn up at work. And that manager was really excited for me. Her natural style was kind of informal and relaxed and friendly and fun. These are positive behaviours that when I reflect back, I've captured and listed as aspects of people and approaches and styles that I really benefited from when I think about working for that manager. But that evening, I did what is now called food science. So I did what was then called home economics and those things. And so I was put in the kitchen for my first evening shift in the kitchen because I could cook. And what happened there was that chef that I had to work for that evening, I knew pretty sure that I was going to have to work hard to get his belief and get him to like me. He used to throw knives. So I nearly knew that there was some challenging behaviour. You know, we talk about psychological safety at work. This is somebody who was quite aggressive, quite manipulative, quite difficult. So I really remember that moment, not just for the knives. I didn't have any thrown at me, but the impression that that person as a manager and leader of people left on me. So there's further examples on here. Maybe you've worked for people in a negative sense that have micromanaged or nitpicked or been political. Maybe people have, not paid enough attention or taken credit for other people's work. Who are the people that you've worked for that have had really positive behaviours? And what then are the resulting kind of impacts on you as a leader and manager of people at work? Who were you as a result? Because we'll probably want to all maximise the positives, but you'll also want to sometimes not be some of those negatives. So who you've worked for can have a really big impact on who you turn up as a manager at work and influence your style. I want to share an example of a fantastic study into inspirational leadership and management at work by Zenga Folkman. This talks about discretionary effort. So discretionary effort is how far the people who will work for you will go for you, will go the extra mile for you, do more than is expected. And the results are really striking. So this is over 40,000 leaders across the globe that were reviewed. And you can see from the illustration here that there are different aspects of results and being inspiring that were measured. So with discretionary effort, on the left-hand side, this is 25%. So 25% extra discretionary effort given to a leader or manager that's not strong on results and not very inspiring. In other words, most people will do a little bit of their extra mile based upon their own motivation. But the second bar shows that you can be good in results, but not actually very inspiring and maybe quite difficult, challenging to work for. And people will still go a bit of the extra mile as long as you're nailing your results and your outputs. The third bar talks about strong and inspires, but not in results. So here's someone that's not necessarily delivering their performance indicators, but is someone from a behavioural perspective that people like to work with and for. And you see that there we get an extra 5%. But what we're really aiming for is to be strong in both results and inspires. 63% extra effort, that extra mile. Imagine the compounding performance impact of that on you and your team. So you'll be in a leadership and management role because we tend to get promoted based on results. But if you can really consciously develop yourself and your leadership style to be inspirational, wow, look at the extra mile that people will go for you. So when it comes to being inspiring, there's a direct correlation between being inspiring and being yourself. In one study in 2019, my business looked at a group of managers who had been through some of the aspects of what I'm talking through with you here. In other words, they learned to be themselves as managers. And when we asked them the impact of that on being a better manager, on being themselves, they reported an 81% impact. But then we went further. We asked the direct reports to share what's the impact been now of your manager, now that your manager has been through some, changes and worked on being more of themselves at work. And the direct reports shared a 76% improvement in how great their manager was now. And the great thing about being yourself is that you don't need to learn it. It's not a model that you need to be. It's just about being more you. In a global survey into being yourself at work run earlier this year, only 25% shared that they had a manager who's bringing the best of themselves to work. So there's a huge opportunity here for you to be real, to understand yourself and be more of yourself as well as your experience as a manager and leader of people. So let's get practical. The key then, if you're going to be yourself more and that real you as a manager or leader of people, is to know and remember who you are. So one great thing that you can do is craft a statement that describes you as a leader and manager when you're really being yourself. The exercise is very simple. Try and think about 5 or 6 words that describe the real you. What would your friends and family say about you outside of work? What is it that are your kind of key strengths? But as a person, no spreadsheets and technical management jargon allowed. Think about you as a person. Maybe you're really supportive. Maybe you're massively positive. Maybe you're a little bit, crusading and rebellious. Maybe you're a natural strategist. Maybe you're very kind and genuinely like to make connections and bring harmony or use creativity. Take your 5 or 6 words and craft a simple statement that really describes you as a leader and manager of people, reflecting who you are as a person. Take the time to do it and then use it, remember it, place it where you can see it a few times a day and practice how you're getting on and the impact that other people have when you're being the real you and bringing more realness into your leadership and management at work. So crafting a leadership statement that really helps you to be you is a brilliant practical way to really up that inspiring behaviour and bring that compounding and that go the extra mile feel from people that work with you. So I'd like to share some tips for you for leading with realness as the best of you, to really help you to embed some of the more kind of real aspects of yourself as a leader and manager at work. My first tip, this screen says, I see the best in others, especially when they can't see it in themselves. Remember that everyone wonders what people think about them. We can all overthink and overanalyze. All of us generally are making things up as we go along, and we can doubt ourselves a lot. We all have that. As a manager or a leader at work, try and see beyond the face value and see the best in each individual. It will really help them to grow and grow because of you. My second tip is see the chance of actually managing and leading people to create a career out of having an impact that makes a difference to others at work. It's what you and others will remember about you when you look back. You can change careers and lives and make a career out of doing that by leading and managing people by being the best of you. My third tip is to be yourself, be real. You're not management speak, as this quote shares. Speak openly, share, humanise the workplace, bring realness. Try not to conform to professional kind of workplace status or personas. Remember that people buy people and they'll be buying you. You're also not your doubts or story or CV or job role. Most of us, when we're challenged at work, what we tend to do is not really kind of build ourselves up. Try and be your own best friend. Develop yourself. Work on removing self-doubt that you have. It's quite hard to work for someone who's stressed or insecure or a bit volatile because they're under pressure. Make being the best of you a really core part of developing yourself. I hope that's been useful. Be you, be real, use you as well as your experience and craft your leadership and management statement to really make a difference to people at work.